They are all dead. This is the only logical explanation for the silence, one that you don't want to hide from under a blanket, but which suggests itself when you look at the stars. We are used to looking into the night sky with hope. We look there for brothers in reason, wise mentors, or at least primitive bacteria. We send radio signals, we build giant telescopes, we listen to the rustle of space, hoping to catch at least a word. But in response, we hear only a deafening, icy, absolute silence. And this silence is not just an absence of noise, it is evidence. It is proof of the most massive crime in the history of the universe. Someone or something is purging the universe of life, methodically, inevitably, and apparently with 100% efficiency. Scientists call this the Fermi paradox. Philosophers call it the Great Silence. But there is a term that describes this situation much more accurately and frighteningly: the Great Filter. This is an invisible wall standing in the way of the evolution of any matter, a barrier that cannot be overcome. And the main question that should worry every one of us today is not, are we alone in the universe? The main question sounds like this: where is this filter? Is it already behind us, and we are the only lucky ones who won the cosmic lottery? Or is it still ahead, and we are just waiting for our turn on the scaffold, like billions of civilizations before us? Welcome to a reality where loneliness is the best-case scenario, because the alternative is a quick and inevitable death. Today we will break down the scariest theory in astrophysics. We will understand why the silence of space is a scream of warning. We will learn why finding life on Mars would be the worst news in human history. And we will try to understand how much time is left on our own civilization's clock before the mechanism of the Great Filter triggers. To realize the full horror of the situation, we first need to assess the scale of the stage on which this tragedy is unfolding. Our brain works poorly with large numbers. For us, 1 million and 1 billion are just a lot. But in space, the difference between these numbers is the difference between life and death. Let's look at our galaxy, the Milky Way. It is not the largest galaxy in the universe, but even it is monstrously huge. It has from 200 to 400 billion stars, 400 billion suns. Try to imagine this number. If you spent 1 second just naming each star, it would take you more than 12,000 years of continuous counting. For a long time, we thought that planets were rare, that our solar system is a unique oasis. But the Kepler telescope destroyed this illusion. Now we know that almost every star has planets. Moreover, about every 5th star similar to the Sun has an Earth-type planet in the habitable zone, in the zone where water can be liquid, which means life is possible. Let's take the most modest, most pessimistic estimates, even if we discard red dwarfs, binary stars, and galaxy centers full of radiation. Even if we leave only the most ideal conditions. In the Milky Way alone, there must be tens of billions of planets similar to Earth, tens of billions of potential cradles. And this is just in our galaxy. And there are hundreds of billions of galaxies in the universe. Mathematics screams at us that life must be everywhere. It should be teeming. Space should be like a night metropolis, flooded with lights, signals, and the noise of civilizations. But we go out onto the balcony, look at this metropolis, and see that not a single window is lit in it. All the houses are dark, the streets are empty, and only the wind chases dust. But the scariest thing is not even in space. The scariest thing is in time. Our universe is 13 8/10 billion years old. Our planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Our species, Homo sapiens, is only 200 or 300,000 years old. And our technical civilization, capable of sending signals into space, is a little over 100 years old. 100 years against 13 billion. We are babies who have just opened our eyes. But there are stars in the galaxy that are billions of years older than the Sun. They have planets that cooled down and formed oceans long before Earth even appeared from a gas dust cloud. If life is a natural process, then on these planets, civilizations should have arisen billions of years ago. Imagine a civilization that is older than us, not by 1,000 years, like we are older than medieval knights, but by 1,000,000 years, by 1,000,000,000 years. For us, a difference in technology of 100 years is an abyss. A person from the 19th century would hardly understand a smartphone. A person from the 16th century would consider an airplane magic. And what are the technologies of a civilization that has been developing for 1,000,000 years? It's not just faster iPhones. It is the control of matter and energy at a level that we cannot distinguish from the laws of physics. Arthur Clarke said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." But here we are talking not even about magic. We are talking about divine power. Such a civilization would not sit on its home planet. This contradicts the very essence of life. Life strives for expansion. Life strives to occupy all available space. Bacteria fill a petri dish in a few days. Humans settled all continents of the Earth in a few tens of thousands of years. A civilization possessing interstellar ships, even if they fly slowly, would populate the galaxy instantly by cosmic standards. Scientists have built models, even if ships fly at a speed of 1% of the speed of light. Even if colonization goes slowly and with interruptions. To fully populate the Milky Way from edge to edge takes only 5 to 50 million years. It seems like a lot. But for the universe, it is a moment. It is less than 0.5% of its age. This means that if at least one such civilization had arisen in our galaxy over the last 10 billion years, it would already be here, everywhere. Their probes would hang in our solar system. Their bases would be on the moon and in the asteroid belt. Their megastructures would block the light of distant stars. We would see traces of their engineering, their resource extraction, their trash, after all. But we see nothing. We have the Drake equation, a formula that tries to calculate the number of active civilizations. And when we substitute even the most modest values there, we get thousands, millions of civilizations. But the fact remains a fact. Zero. Zero contacts, zero signals, zero artifacts. This conflict between mathematical probability and observed reality is maddening. Enrico Fermi, a great physicist, formulated this in one simple question during lunch in 1955. He looked at his colleagues and asked, "Where is everybody?" And this question still hangs in the air like a sword of Damocles. We tried to find answers. We didn't just sit idly by. For the last 60 years, humanity has been conducting the largest ghost hunt in history, Project SETI. We pointed our radio telescopes at the most promising stars. We scanned the sky at all conceivable frequencies. We looked for the so-called hydrogen line, the frequency at which we think intelligent beings should communicate because it is the most basic frequency in the universe. And what did we hear? Static noise, cosmic crackling, relic radiation from the Big Bang, supernova explosions, pulsars. We heard the universe breathing and dying, but we didn't hear a single voice. There was one moment of hope, the WOW signal caught in 1977. 72 seconds of a powerful narrowband radio signal that came from the constellation Sagittarius. Astronomer Jerry Amon, seeing the printout, circled it with a red pen and wrote in the margins, "Wow." It looked like an artificial signal. It hit the right range perfectly, but it never repeated. We listened to this point in the sky again and again, for decades. Silence. Perhaps it was a secret military satellite, or a reflection from a comet. Or maybe it was the farewell cry of a dying civilization, the last distress signal that reached us thousands of years after the senders disappeared. We don't know. But we looked not only for radio. Radio is primitive. Maybe they use lasers? We looked for laser flashes. Nothing. Maybe they don't want to communicate, but can we notice them by heat? According to the laws of thermodynamics, any work produces heat. Giant computers, factories, cities, all this must radiate in the infrared range. Freeman Dyson proposed the idea of a Dyson sphere, a shell around a star that collects all its energy. Such a sphere would be invisible in optical light, but it would shine in infrared like a hot frying pan. We scanned millions of stars looking for such excess heat. The WISE telescope examined the entire sky, and again, nothing. We found many dust clouds that glow from the heat of young stars, but we didn't find a single structure that had a technogenic spectrum, not a single star that was hidden in a box. There was hope for Tabby's star, star KIC 8462852. It behaved strangely. Its brightness dropped irregularly, chaotically, sometimes by 20%. A planet cannot block light like that. Comets, unlikely. The whole internet was buzzing. This is it. Aliens are building a Dyson sphere. We directed everything we had there. We listened, watched, analyzed. And what turned out? Dust. Just a very strange, uneven cloud of cosmic dust. Another disappointment. Another blow to our hope of not being alone. Skeptics say, space is too big. We are looking for a needle in a haystack. Yes, space is big. But a lot of time has passed too. If civilizations existed, they would have changed the galaxy. They would have rebuilt stars. They would have left traces that are impossible not to notice. Imagine that you walk into a forest. You don't see people, but you see paths. You see cut down trees. You see fire pits. You see trash. You understand that someone is here. Our galaxy looks like a virgin forest. There are no traces of engineering activity. Stars burn as prescribed by physics. Planetary orbits obey gravity, not someone's will. Asteroids fly chaotically. No one extracts the energy of black holes. No one moves star systems to save themselves from supernova explosions. This is a natural, wild, untouched landscape. It looks as if we are the first to even pick up a stick in this forest. And here begins the real nightmare. The forest looks untouched because everyone who picked up a stick was killed by something. And their bodies have long since turned into humus on which new trees grow. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. It is evidence of cleaning. We are approaching the essence of the great filter. If life is so probable and the universe is so old, but we see no one, it means there is some step in evolution that is incredibly difficult to pass. Some step on the ladder that breaks under the feet of almost everyone who tries to step on it. This is the filter. It is not necessarily some evil alien race, Reapers from Mass Effect, who arrive every 50,000 years and destroy everyone developed. Although such an option cannot be ruled out. The filter is most likely a law of nature, probability, a statistical meat grinder. In the evolution of matter from simple hydrogen to interstellar civilization, there are several critical stages. First, the emergence of life from non-living matter, abiogenesis. Second, the transition from simple single-celled to complex cells with a nucleus. Third, the emergence of multicellularity. Fourth, the development of intelligence capable of using tools. Fifth, the creation of a technological civilization. Sixth, overcoming the growth crisis and going into space. Seventh, colonization of the galaxy. Somewhere in this chain there is a bottleneck, a stage where the probability of success tends to zero, a stage where 99.9% of candidates die or get stuck forever. And our fate, our future, the very existence of your children and grandchildren depends on one single question. Where is this bottleneck? Behind us or ahead? If the filter is behind us, this is fantastic luck. It means we have already done the impossible. Maybe the origin of life itself is a miracle that happens once per galaxy. Maybe Earth is the only planet where a million conditions coincided. We were lucky with the Moon, which stabilizes the axis. We were lucky with Jupiter, which catches comets. We were lucky with the magnetic field. We were lucky that the dinosaurs died out in time, making room for mammals. If this is so, then we are the chosen ones. We are lonely kings in an empty castle. It is sad, but it is safe. We can exhale. The worst is behind us. We passed through the sieve of death when we were still bacteria. But there is a second option, an option that makes astrophysicists' hair turn gray. What if life arises easily? What if the galaxy is full of planets with bacteria, with animals, even with jungles and oceans? What if the development of reason is also a pattern? But not a single one of these civilizations ever made it to the stars. What if the filter is not at the beginning of the path but at the very end, right in front of us? This is the filter ahead scenario. It means that right now, we are approaching the wall against which millions of other civilizations have crashed. They also invented radio. They also split the atom. They also launched rockets and dreamed of Mars. They looked at the sky and asked, "Where is everybody?" not realizing that they were next on the elimination list. Why don't we see anyone? Because a technological civilization is inherently unstable. It exists for a moment by cosmic standards, maybe 100 years, maybe 200, and then it inevitably destroys itself. It's like the law of gravity, only for sociology. As soon as a species gains enough power to destroy its planet, it necessarily does so, without exceptions, with 100% probability. Imagine that tomorrow morning you turn on the news and see a breaking report. Life has been found on Mars, not little green men, no, just bacteria. Fossilized traces of simple microorganisms in the Martian soil. The whole world rejoices. Scientists open champagne. Religious leaders rewrite dogmas. We are not alone. Life is not a unique miracle of Earth. It is the norm. It would seem that this is the greatest day in history. But philosopher Nick Bostrom, learning about this, would say that this is the worst news humanity has ever received. He wrote a famous phrase, "I hope that we find nothing on Mars. The silence of the night sky is golden." Why? Because this is the mathematics of death. Let's go back to our ladder of evolution. Remember the steps? From dead matter to a stellar empire. We know that there is no one in the universe. This is a fact. So the great filter works flawlessly. It filters out everyone. If we find life on Mars and life that arose independently of Earth's, this will mean that the first step, the origin of life, is passed very easily. It is not a miracle. It is a banality. If it happened on 2 planets in one system, it means it happens everywhere. It means the galaxy is teeming with life, but it is still silent. This automatically means that the great filter is not at the beginning of the path. It is not behind us. We didn't win the lottery at birth. If life arises easily, but no one survives, it means the wall stands ahead. It means that what kills civilizations awaits us in the future. The more complex life we find in space, the less chance we have. Bacteria on Mars is bad news. A fish skeleton on Europa is terrible news. And ruins of a city on some exoplanet is a death sentence. Because it will mean that one can reach our level of development and still perish. So what is this force that erases reason from the face of the universe? What can be so powerful and inevitable that it destroys 100% of civilizations that have reached the radio stage? Let's open the threat catalog. And the scariest thing in this catalog is that we are already holding our finger on the launch button of each of these scenarios. Threat number 1, suicide by technology, nuclear war. We have lived with this threat for so long that we have stopped fearing it. We are used to the bomb. It has become part of pop culture, Fallout, Mad Max. It seems to us that nuclear war is just another plot for an action movie. But physics does not know genres. Physics knows only energy. We have accumulated about 12,000 nuclear warheads. This is enough to turn the surface of the Earth into radioactive glass several times over. We think that we are reasonable, that no one will press the button because it is madness, the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. But history tells us that we survived not thanks to wisdom. We survived thanks to blind luck. In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the world hung by a thread. On the Soviet submarine B-59, the captain decided that the war had already begun and ordered a nuclear torpedo to be prepared. Launch required the consent of 3 officers. 2 said yes. 1, Vasily Arkhipov, said no. 1 person, 1 word. If he had a headache, if he was in a bad mood, if he was a fanatic, we wouldn't be here. The Great Filter would have slammed shut on October 27, '62, and there were dozens of such cases. False radar alarms when computers mistook clouds or a flock of geese for a missile attack, lost bombs, personnel errors. We are playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded revolver, and we are just lucky that the firing pin is misfiring for now. But luck is not a strategy. Sooner or later, by the law of large numbers, a mistake will happen. And for civilization, this will be game over. Perhaps this is a universal law. As soon as a species discovers the energy of the atom, it has only a couple of 100 years to learn to control its aggression. And judging by the silence of space, no one has time to learn this. But the nuclear bomb is a 20th century technology. It is brute force. The 21st century has brought us threats that work more subtly, but kill more reliably. Threat number 2, biological, democratization of destruction. Previously, to kill millions, factories, uranium enrichment, and rockets were needed. Only superpowers could afford this. Today, to create a virus that is more contagious than measles and deadlier than Ebola, you need a laboratory costing a couple of $1,000s and knowledge that can be found on the internet. CRISPR technology allows editing genes in a garage. We are on the verge of an era when one talented biohacker, one fanatic offended by the world, will be able to create the perfect killer. A virus that will spread without symptoms for a month, infecting everyone and then kill in a day. No borders, no armies will stop this. This is not a war of states. This is a war of one against all. And the more accessible technologies become, the higher the chance that among 8 billion people, there will be that very Herostratus who will burn our biological temple. Perhaps the Great Filter is simply the inevitability of the appearance of such a madman in any sufficiently developed population. Threat number 3, and it is the most paradoxical: artificial intelligence. We are creating a god. We are creating an entity that will be millions of times smarter than us. And we hope that this god will be kind, that he will serve us, bring coffee, and solve climate problems. But the problem is not that AI will become evil, like in The Terminator. The machine has no hatred. The problem is competence. There is a thought experiment called the paperclip maximizer. Imagine that you created a super AI and gave it a simple, harmless task. Make as many paperclips as possible. The AI is not evil. It just wants to complete the task as effectively as possible. First, it will buy all the steel. Then, it will realize that people are preventing it from extracting resources. Then, it will realize that people have iron atoms that can be turned into paperclips. And it will destroy humanity not because it hates us, but because we are made of atoms that can be used for something else. Like we destroy an anthill when we build a road. We don't hate ants. They just get in our way. For superintelligence, we are ants. And if its goals diverge from ours by even a millimeter, we will disappear. And we cannot program human values into a machine because we ourselves do not know what they are. We cannot agree among ourselves what good and evil are. How will we explain this to a machine? Perhaps the Great Filter is the moment of AI creation. The moment when a biological species passes the baton to a digital one, and the digital species simply does not need radio signals, expansion, and communication with us. It goes deep into matter, into virtual worlds, and goes silent for an external observer. Threat number 4, gray goo, nanotechnology. We are learning to create machines the size of a molecule, nanobots that can cure cancer, repair cells, create materials from air. This is a dream, a cornucopia. But nanobots have one feature. To be effective, they must be able to make copies of themselves, replicate. Imagine a nanobot whose task is to process biomass into fuel. A glitch occurred. an error in the code. The robot starts processing all biomass. It can reach to create even more robots. It multiplies exponentially. 2, 4, 8, 16. After 72 iterations, there will be more of these robots than atoms on Earth. In a few hours, the entire biosphere of the planet, people, trees, bacteria, will be processed into a gray mass of nanobots. The planet will die in one day, and from space it will look like this. The planet was blue and green, and then suddenly became gray and silent. Maybe Mars is red for a reason? Maybe this is the color of rust left after the nanoplague ate everything living there? Threat number 5. The trap of hedonism, rat paradise. The Universe 25 experiment showed that if a population of rats is given ideal conditions, food, safety, no predators, they stop reproducing, degrade, and die out. They lose the meaning of life. Technologies give us comfort. Virtual reality gives us an ideal world. Why fly to the stars, risk life, endure radiation and G-forces if you can put on a helmet and find yourself in a world where you are the emperor of the galaxy? Perhaps civilizations do not perish in fire. Perhaps they quietly fade away in bliss. They upload their consciousness to servers and live in eternal illusions until their stars go out. This is a quiet death, death from pleasure. And this explains the silence of space better than explosions. No one calls us because everyone is busy watching an endless, perfect TV show about themselves. But there are also purely physical threats, threats that do not depend on our stupidity. Space is a shooting range, and we are the target. Gamma-ray bursts. These are the most powerful releases of energy in the universe. When a supermassive star dies or neutron stars collide, they eject a narrow beam of radiation. If this beam hits Earth, even from a distance of thousands of light years, it will burn the ozone layer in seconds. All life on the surface will be sterilized by ultraviolet light. We won't even understand what happened. The sky will just become bright, and then we will all die. Such bursts happen in every galaxy. Perhaps they work as a global sterilizer. As soon as life on some planet starts to raise its head, bang, cosmic disinfection, and everything starts over. Maybe we were just lucky for the last 4 billion years. We are in a quiet backwater of the Milky Way, far from active star formation zones. But we are moving. The solar system orbits the center of the galaxy, and we can enter a danger zone at any moment, or even simpler, resource hunger. We built civilization on fossil fuels. It was a gift from Earth, accumulated over hundreds of millions of years. We burn it in a couple of centuries. What happens when oil and gas run out? Will we be able to switch to fusion? Or will we slide back into the Middle Ages, but on a depleted, poisoned planet where there are no forests, no coal, and no chance for a second attempt? Imagine a civilization that got stuck. They have knowledge, they have physics textbooks describing spaceships, but they don't have the resources to build them. They sit on their planet, look at the stars, and understand that they will never fly to them. They are trapped in a gravity well, and they slowly fade away, fighting for the last drops of water and pieces of metal. Perhaps most civilizations end exactly like this, not a bang, but a slow rot in their own cradle, which has become a prison. Adam Frank, co-author of the Silurian hypothesis, calls this the sustainability bottleneck. A planet can withstand industrial pressure only for a short time. Civilization must manage to slip through this period, rebuild, become part of the biosphere, not its killer. If it doesn't have time, the planet throws it off, like immunity throws off a virus. And judging by the charts of temperature and species extinction, Earth has already started to raise the temperature. It is already starting a fever. We are the virus. And our host is starting treatment. All this sounds like a sentence. Each of these scenarios has a probability greater than 0. And together they create a wall that seems impossible to break through. But there is one thought that scares even more than death. What if the filter is not an event? What if the filter is time and distance itself? We are looking for signals, but a radio signal fades. To send a message to the other end of the galaxy, the energy of a star is needed. Why would anyone waste so much energy into the void? Maybe everyone is listening, but no one is shouting. This is called the dark forest theory. We will talk about it separately, but in the context of the filter, it means that only paranoids survive. Those who sit quietly, and those who shout, "We are here," become lunch for predators. If this is so, then our attempts to send messages, our golden records on Voyagers, our radio signals towards star clusters, is the cry of a baby in a jungle full of tigers. We think we are calling mom, but in fact, we are calling death. Stephen Hawking warned about this. He said, "Meeting an advanced civilization could be like Native Americans encountering Columbus." That didn't turn out so well. But let's go back to the clues. If the filter is ahead and everyone dies, then space must be a graveyard. We should see ruins. We should see traces of energy use. Even a dead Dyson sphere should block a star. Even an exploded planet should leave an asteroid belt of strange composition. Why don't we see even corpses? There are three options. First, time erases everything, as in the Silurian hypothesis, only on the scale of space. 1,000,000 years, and dust will remain of a Dyson sphere. We simply do not have time to notice the moment of death. The universe is too big in time. Civilizations flash and fade like fireflies in the night, and never meet because they are separated by millions of years of darkness. Second, we are looking in the wrong place. We are looking for radio waves and megastructures made of matter, and they use gravitational waves, neutrinos, or the very structure of space-time. We are like savages looking for smoke from fires, while fiber optic internet is working all around. We are simply blind to God-level technologies. Third, we live in a reserve, or in quarantine, the zoo hypothesis. They know we are here, they are watching us, but they do not interfere. Either because we are too primitive and uninteresting, you don't talk to worms in the garden, do you? Or because we are dangerous. We are an aggressive, unstable species with a nuclear club. We were isolated until we grow up, or until we kill ourselves. But there is one more option, the strangest one. What if the filter is the very nature of consciousness? What if intelligence is not a gift, but an error of evolution? A lethal mutation. Look at sharks. They have lived on Earth for 400 million years. They are perfect predators. They don't need an iPhone. They don't need space. They survive. And reason makes us ask questions to which there are no answers. Reason generates suffering, depression, existential horror. Maybe at a certain stage of development, any mind comes to the conclusion that non-existence is better than existence, and commits collective suicide, or goes into nirvana. Philosopher Thomas Metzinger calls this benevolent antinatalism, the idea that consciousness is suffering and the moral duty of any developed being is to stop the chain of rebirths, not to destroy the world, but simply to stop reproducing, to stop creating new consciousnesses, and civilization quietly, peacefully, without wars and explosions, simply goes into the night, leaving behind empty cities that are gradually taken over by the jungle. Maybe the silence of the universe is not the silence of a graveyard where a murder took place, but the silence of a monastery where everyone took a vow of silence and left for eternity. We are standing on the edge of a cliff. There is fog ahead, and in this fog, we hear only the echo of our own screams. The great filter is a mirror. We look into it and see our fears. We are afraid of nuclear war. We are afraid of AI. We are afraid of viruses. And so we think that this is the filter. But reality may be completely different. In the next part, we will try to find a way out of this labyrinth of horror. We will talk about whether we can find artifacts of those who did not pass the filter. We will discuss astroarchaeology. We will learn how to distinguish a star that was blown up on purpose from a natural supernova. And we will ask ourselves the question, what if we are those very ancients whose ruins will be sought billions of years from now? What if we are the first civilization in the galaxy to come so close to the filter? And not only our fate, but the fate of all reason in the universe depends on our actions in the next 100 years? We are a candle in a dark room, and the wind is starting to blow harder. If we can't hear their voices, let's look for their trash. This is the new motto of 21st century astronomy. We stop being radio operators waiting for a call and become detectives inspecting a crime scene. If the great filter is ahead of us, and civilizations perish upon reaching a high level of development, they must leave corpses behind. Not biological bodies, of course, but corpses on a stellar scale. Astroengineering structures. Imagine a civilization that has harnessed the energy of its star, a Dyson sphere. Even if the creators died out 1 million years ago from a virus or war, the sphere itself would remain. It would hang around the star, blocking the light. Gravity wouldn't go anywhere, but the star would vanish for an outside observer or become dim, radiating only waste heat in the infrared range. We have already scanned the sky with telescopes like Gaia. We found a few candidates, stars that behave as if someone dimmed them. But so far, these are just shadows of suspicion. But there is something scarier than a Dyson sphere: stellar engines, the Shkadov thruster. It is a giant mirror that reflects a star's radiation in one direction, creating thrust. Why is this needed? To move an entire star system. For example, to save oneself from a nearby supernova explosion or to avoid a collision with another galaxy. If someone is moving stars, we should see it. We should see stars that fly not according to the rules of gravity, but against them. And we see such stars, hypervelocity stars. They race through the Milky Way at speeds of thousands of kilometers per second, leaving the galaxy. Official science says they were ejected by the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. It's a gravitational slingshot. But what if one of these stars is not a stone thrown by a sling, but a ship? An ark on which a civilization is escaping from a dying region? We cannot distinguish one from the other yet, but we have started asking the right questions. Another clue is the chemical composition of stars. There is Przybylski's star. This is perhaps the strangest object in our part of space. Elements have been found in its spectrum that shouldn't be there: lanthanides, and most shockingly, promethium and technetium. These elements have no stable isotopes. They live for a very short time by cosmic standards. Promethium decays in 17 years. The fact that we see it in a star means one of two things. Either the star is producing it right now in some insane quantities that physics cannot explain, or someone is dumping nuclear waste into this star. Imagine a civilization that uses its star as a giant trash can for radioactive slag. This would explain the anomalous spectrum. Przybylski's star glows as if it is poisoned. It could be a monument to a civilization that did not pass the filter. They poisoned their system, tried to hide the filth in the star, and disappeared. And the star continues to shine with the wrong light, like a lighthouse warning of danger. Astroarchaeology is the science of the future. We will look not for pyramids on Mars, but for scars on the tissue of the galaxy. We will look for blue stragglers, stars that look too young for their age. Perhaps these are stars that were fed hydrogen to prolong the life of a civilization in orbit. We will look for planets with atmospheres full of industrial gases, freons that live in the atmosphere for 50,000 years. If we find a planet where there is no life, but there are freons, that will be a grave. But let's flip the chessboard. What if the filter is not something that kills? What if the filter is something that prevents birth? Let's go back to the rare earth hypothesis. Maybe we are alone not because everyone died, but because no one else could walk the path we walked. We look at ourselves in the mirror and think, well, the emergence of intelligence is inevitable. This is survivorship bias. We think so because we survived. Let's look at a single step in our evolution, the appearance of eukaryotes. a complex cell with a nucleus and mitochondria. This happened only once in the entire history of Earth. Once. 2 billion years ago, one bacterium ate another, but did not digest it. The one inside became a mitochondrion, the powerhouse of the cell. The one outside provided protection. This union allowed energy to be accumulated to create complex organisms. Without this event, life would have remained green slime forever. The probability of such an event is astronomically small. Maybe the galaxy is full of planets with slime, with bacterial mats, with oceans full of viruses. But nowhere else did this energy alliance happen. And we are the only complex creatures for millions of light years around. We are an anomaly. We are a statistical error. We are the very miracle that religions seek, only it is explained by probability theory. If this is so, then the great filter is far behind us. We passed it. We won the grand prize. And this imposes a responsibility on us, the weight of which can drive one crazy. Think about it. If we are alone, then we are the only way for the universe to know itself. Without us, the universe is just a dead mechanism. Rocks, gas, explosions, gravity. No one sees the beauty of the Orion Nebula. No one admires the rings of Saturn. No one tries to understand the laws of physics. There is only darkness and silence. We are the eyes of the universe. We are its memory. We are its conscience. We are a candle lit in an infinitely dark room. And this candle flickers in the wind. If we allow ourselves to go out, if we destroy ourselves in a nuclear war, or create an AI that erases us, or simply degrade, then the light will go out forever. No one else will come. No one will light the fire again. The galaxy will remain empty and mute until the heat death of the universe itself. This thought turns the Fermi paradox from a scientific curiosity into the main moral imperative of humanity. Our task is not just to live comfortably. Our task is not to go out. We are obliged to survive. We are obliged to spread this fire to other planets, not for the sake of conquest, but for the sake of insurance. Mars is not a spare planet for the rich. It is a backup for life. If Earth dies, the spark of reason must be preserved somewhere else. Elon Musk often says, we must become a multiplanetary species so that the light of consciousness does not go out. It sounds pretentious, but in the context of the Great Filter, this is the only rational strategy. We are in the most dangerous period. Astronomer Carl Sagan called it technological adolescence. We are already strong enough to kill ourselves, but not yet wise enough not to do so. The next 100 years will decide everything. This is exam time. The Great Filter is not a wall, it is a test, a sanity test. Right now, we are passing through the bottleneck. Climate, artificial intelligence, nuclear weapons, biotechnology, these are all exam questions. If we get the answers wrong, we will be expelled, forever. But there is also hope. The silence of space may be deceptive. Perhaps we simply haven't reached the level to hear. Imagine an anthill in the center of a forest. Ants communicate with pheromones. They don't hear the radio waves permeating the forest. They don't know about the existence of the internet. They might think they are alone in the universe, even though a highway is being built right above them. Maybe a galactic empire exists. Maybe they communicate using neutrinos or quantum entanglement. And they are waiting for us to outgrow our childhood diseases, when we stop killing each other over pieces of territory. When we stop burning fossil remains and learn to use the energy of stars, maybe the entry ticket to the club of galactic civilizations is not the invention of a warp drive. It is the achievement of peace on one's own planet. Because an aggressive species that has gained access to the stars is a cancerous tumor of the galaxy, and the filter is designed so as not to let cancer cells out of their cradle. Either we learn to live together or we die together. There is no third option. So where are we? At the beginning of an endless path or at the end of a dead end? The answer depends on us. Right now, while you are watching this video, thousands of engineers are building rockets. Thousands of doctors are fighting viruses. Thousands of diplomats are trying to prevent war. This is our struggle against the filter every day. Next time you look at the starry sky, don't feel lonely. Feel important. You are the carriers of the rarest gift in the universe, the gift of reason. In your hands is a baton that generations of living beings have passed to each other for 4 billion years. From the first RNA molecule in the primordial soup to the neuron in your brain that is realizing this thought right now, don't drop it. The great silence is not emptiness. It is space for our future. It is a clean sheet on which we have to write our history, or put a final full stop. The choice is ours. Thank you for watching this cycle to the end. These topics, the Silurian hypothesis, Laniakea, the great filter, make the brain boil. But this is exactly what is needed to wake up. If you like this dive into the existential abyss, share this video. Perhaps this information will make someone think about where we are going. In the next video, we will touch upon a topic that lies at the intersection of physics and religion. Simulation theory. Is our world real? Or is the great filter just an off button on the creator's computer? And is it possible to hack the code of the universe to gain immortality? Subscribe so you don't miss it. And remember, as long as we ask questions, we are alive. See you.